been a few opinions cast about the Rangers kit, the red and white stripes. Arsenal in their new away strip. Well, newly did not designed, although the colours are somewhat similar. Ronald de Boer there alongside Stephen Thompson, who starts up front for Rangers tonight. De Boer along with Barry Ferguson, two outstanding campaigns both of those two had. And you could almost argue that this is a 4-3-3 formation, depending on which position De Boer is going to take up, with Lovenkrands on the left side, Thompson up front and De Boer over on the right.
Well, I always feel that with Rangers, they have the ability through Ronald de Boer to adjust to almost every situation. He has been a major player for them in the last few campaigns. But I think with Arsenal, the shape of Rangers will be dictated by how well Arsenal do, and you might find that they will fill the middle of the park, because it will be tough for Rangers in there, and they might play five in there to compete against a very able Arsenal midfield.
This is something of a newly fashioned defence as well for Arsenal tonight. But that, of course, Martin Keown is still carrying an injury. 12 here is Lauren. '15 is Ray Parlour. Far from a first choice these days, and again another one of those players whose career has been discussed. Ljungberg's ball was a little loose. And two German goalkeepers, of course, tonight. Stefan Klos, the 31-year-old Glasgow Rangers, first choice here since signing from Borussia Dortmund back in 1999. And across the other end of the field, Jens Lehmann.
Well, I'm looking at the Arsenal side, really, and there is a familiar look about them now that Vieira is back. Bergkamp's in the side. And it's amazing when you bring back one or two of your players who you know can play at the highest level. The team seems to take shape. Bergkamp, we know, can drift and drop off, very much in the style of Ronald de Boer for Rangers, where he can come off, have the ball to feet, be the link player, but also be the forward player as well. So I think it's looking more like the Arsenal we know. They've one or two players still missing, but still a formidable outfit.
Certainly Lovenkrands possesses the pace and the ability to distress anybody that stood in front of him. Malcolm Moore at the centre of the Rangers defence. And the familiar figure of Maurice Ross right back. Well, Jens Lehmann, the new keeper that Arsenal have signed on in this summer to replace the somewhat irreplaceable David Seaman, has got something of a colourful past. He picked up 3 red cards during the course of last season, all in key games. So perhaps that might tell you something about the character. It'll be interesting to see how he reacts when he's under the spotlight at places like Old Trafford. He got sent off against Stuttgart, Schalke and Bayern Munich last season.
Isn't it a fantastic atmosphere? We talked about the atmosphere at Celtic Park on Saturday, and it was truly remarkable. But again, Rangers supporters give you the same kind of environment, the same kind of attitude for their team, and it is a fantastic place to play football. And I think at the start of the season as well, it's really, really special.
Well, this is a bright, really bright start from Glasgow Rangers. Free kick has been given as Vieira came away with possession. Ever since that injury picked up against Manchester United. What about that for a challenge there from Sol Campbell? Perfectly timed.
Well, he's a very, very good player, and an important player for Arsenal. He's made the change from Spurs to Arsenal with Raul de Vries. He's playing on the left side of the centre-back position. I'm not sure he's as comfortable there as he is when he's on the right-hand side. He looks a more natural player there, and he seems to get on the ball. He favours coming back on his right foot almost every occasion when he gets the ball, so it cuts down the angles.
Arteta and Ferguson standing over the ball. He's taken a deflection and a corner kick.
Well, a good strike. Barry Ferguson, a very important player for Rangers. Here we see it. It did get the deflection. Sometimes I think you're almost as well leaving that ball, getting out of the way, because when you deflect it, it can go absolutely anywhere. Lehman there, no chance of it had it went goalward.
Well, there's two Arsenal players playing onside there.
Fantastic ball from Michael Ball. Good to see him back. He's had a troubled time with injury, and it's interesting, Michael Ball in the left back position for Rangers, and of course Ashley Cole in the left back position for Arsenal, both contenders for the England number 3 shirt. And although Michael Ball has had a spell out, then he will be wanting to show what he can do today.
Lovenkrantz, and under pressure there was Lauren, but he kept his cool. Toure played in a multitude of positions when he was asked to during the course of last season, and on a couple of occasions he did actually begin as the right back as well when asked.
Well, Arsenal have started reasonably well. I think Rangers started very brightly. They've got on the ball, they've passed, they've really got good shape about them, and there's a fluency with their passing which is nice this part of the season, the confidence as well, but you would expect that from the champions.
Lovenkrantz, and he's going to depart, or he was just about to depart, Lauren.
Great pace, terrific pace. Here we see him trying to attack the green in behind the full-back. Laurent thought he was going to play the ball in first time and went for the block, went to ground and give away the free kick, but the Rangers winger, he'll be pleased with that. They always like to test the full-back out in the early stages of the game.
Well, he got 9 goals in all competitions last season, which is his best goal return in his professional career. Now some defending for Arsenal to do here, and that came off the post from Arteta. Well, that very nearly caught Lemon in goal there, and good recovery.
Well, Arsenal can count themselves very lucky. It was a great free kick. Whipped it in with his right foot. Defensively poor, it should have been covered, but take nothing away from the strike. And keeper absolutely no chance at all, was nowhere at all, 6 inches to the left, and it was a goal. So Arsenal early scare, and they've got off with it.
Well, for those that have turned up, they really are enjoying this opening period. And Rangers definitely holding the ascendancy at the moment over Arsenal. Vieira sliding in. Well, nothing tentative about his return in this game. It's as if he's got his full commission right back there. That was the Vieira of old. I mean, he's not pulling out of anything there, is he?
No, he's a good player. I mean, to be honest with you, Kenny Clark has given the free kick against him, but 9 times out of 10 he'd have got away with that. He's just so aggressive, and the pass back was a hospital ball and put the Rangers midfield player in serious trouble. But again, Rangers dominating the passing, dominating the ball. Arsenal at this moment keeping shape, chasing after it.
Little shove there from Stephen Thompson. Signed from Dundee mid-season. Just 8 appearances all told last season for Thompson. They really are playing a high-pressure game here, Glasgow Rangers, at the moment.
Well, they've obviously watched the game on Saturday and saw how Celtic disturbed the Arsenal players, didn't allow them to play and really got about them. They're doing exactly the same thing. The only difference is that Arsenal have got this man, and although he's dispossessed on that occasion, with him coming in the side, it has allowed Arsenal to do is play Parler on the right hand side, and I feel he's more comfortable there.
Can't see enough of the ball at the moment, Lovenkrantz. Referee is Kenny Clark. Oh, this is Patrick Vieira. 17 was Edu. Not seen too much of Colt, actually not seen too much of anybody in an Arsenal shirt breaking forward to a positive effect so far. Ljungberg's ball, Edu. Holding possession well, nice turn by Vieira, just buying himself those all-important extra couple of seconds. This is Ljungberg. Touch and turn from Bergkamp, and then that lovely little ball just stuck through, looking for the Arsenal number 9, Francis Jeffers.
Well, we saw lovely passes of play there. It's the first time really Arsenal have kept the ball. Bergkamp heavily involved, Vieira, we would expect him involved. A lovely turn by Bergkamp, and then when the ball was played through, I thought Jeffers was going to get onto it. But Arsene Wenger there discussing with Pat Rice what's right, what's wrong, and obviously we'll be a little bit concerned in these early stages. They haven't had a lot of the ball, but I would have expected that coming to Glasgow Rangers, Ibrox in particular, they're going to go at you, they're going to dominate. For the crowd are really vocal right behind their team.
There's the man that turned them from the undisputed number 2 to the undisputed number 1. An outstanding season for McLeish and his team, and a chance as well, should they make it through the qualifying rounds, to make it to the Champions League group stages for the first time. They've got a not particularly easy potential client awaiting in Copenhagen, FC Copenhagen, and it should be a very, very interesting couple of weeks.
Well, it's a tough test, but I think Rangers and Celtic know themselves. Although Celtic did remarkable last year, they've got to really perform in Europe. Here's a chance.
It's a decent ball in, Cole getting forward for the first time.
Good defensive header. I think it was Michael Ball on the far post, and he had to be there, because if he had missed that, there was a definite opening on. But you can just sense Arsenal moving more into the game, and then Rangers on the break. Now it's important how they can keep the ball, and can they use the pace, can they get forward?
Maurice Ross holding on to possession. It's that wonderful period of the season, of course, where there are no defeats, anything is possible. There's confidence in almost everything players do. They go out really looking forward to the night ahead. Of course, in the next couple of weeks they can all be undone.
Well, they're all starting off at the top of the league. That's where everybody starts, but you want to try and get off to an early win and get your first goal, get your first home win. They're all important things psychologically.
Cole against Ross. Oh, and that took a mean deflection there, and it came back off of Ashley Cole and could very nearly have looped over Stefan Kloss. Look at this.
Well, he came in, and Robert Malcolm was just being very aggressive with his clearance. I think in a roundabout way he tried to do the right thing, but maybe needed a little bit more culture. And the way the bounce came off Ashley Cole, it just could have went anywhere.
24 starts last season. 22-year-old central defender with a future in front of them. This is another man with an undisputed future in front of him. Mikel Arteta, still a lot of rumours around that he may make his way back to Spain, to Atletico Madrid. He was on Barcelona's books, remember, back in 2000, before going on loan to Paris Saint-Germain. Now, just too much on the ball for Lovenkrantz.
Yeah, they're trying to use his pace. They're trying to get in behind Laurent. And Michael Ball on that occasion, he has a sweet left foot, and he tried to drop it over the back and stop it before it went over the line, but it was a hard skill because the ball was played so straight. And on that occasion, although he has a lot of pace, Lovenkrantz wasn't going to get there.
Parler in the mix, so too was Michael Ball. It was a horrific injury of Michael Ball just as his career looked ready to take off big time. He was involved in the England squad as Parler goes well wide with that. I think it was Sven Göran Eriksson's first ever England squad Michael Ball was in. Still only 23 years of age. But he's up against, interestingly enough, a man on the Arsenal left who occupies the position that he perhaps aspires to in the England team.
Well, it's a big test, and Ashley Cole is a very, very equipped player to hold it, both shirts, Arsenal and England. Michael Ball, that's a challenge for him, but he'll just be wanting to get games behind him more than anything else. As you say, the injury was quite dreadful, and he'll want to get 20 games playing for Rangers under his belt, playing reasonably well, and then he will then seriously consider himself as a contender for the England shirt.
Vieira just holding it too long in possession that time, taken off of him by Neerlinger.
They really have swamped the middle of the park. They're very aware of the strength in that area of the Arsenal side, and they have played 5 in there, and De Boer is also joining, and he's also trying to get forward, but he really is playing as an extra midfield player, and we can see De Boer there, and what a fantastic career move it was for him coming to Rangers, because quite honestly he's been a revelation.
He's 33 years of age now, 16 goals last season, 20 in all competitions, and the only time he ever got into double figures in the entire part of his career was back when he had a spell with FC Twente after leaving Ajax for a couple of seasons in the mid-1990s. That was before he went back there, of course, and did so well. Challenge coming in there from Michael Ball once again.
Well, he just missed it. Obviously it looks dreadful when somebody just misses a challenge by 100th of a second. Ray Parlour, to his credit, got the smack in the leg and got up. Referee made the right decision. Free kick against the Rangers man.
There was a rumour that Frank was trying to be persuaded to come up to Scotland to join his brother after it was made clear that he was going to be leaving Barcelona, but he's opted for another real testing ground. They've never really chosen the easy option, the De Boer brothers, regardless of what people may say. He's gone to Fenerbahce in Turkey, and they certainly won't be standing for any player that thinks he's turning up in the twilight of his career to play on his name, or a name that he's forged elsewhere. Arteta, if he left tomorrow, he will be always remembered for the goal that won Celtic the championship. Nice turn. And Steve Thompson. Again, the move very, very quickly put together and finished.
Well, that's Rangers coming back into the game slightly. The Arsenal have been actually dominating the passing, but a little bit of overconfident there, and here's another little chance for Rangers.
And the only thing missing so far is a goal. Campbell caught a couple of times in possession. Kenny Clark, the referee, giving the free kick to Glasgow Rangers.
Well, I think that's the one thing that appeared that Arsenal did for Sol Campbell. What he does, he's a marvellous defender with his strength. Oh, it's taken quickly, too quickly for the referee. Tremendous power and pace and authority with his size, and I always felt didn't show that real authority on the ball, but when I've watched him with Arsenal, they have got him doing the simple things well, because he has so many players inside who will take the ball off him, and he's got to continue doing that.
Arteta and Barry Ferguson. It's going to be Barry Ferguson to drive it. Straight back to Arteta. Ooh, foot was very, very high there. And the referee I think he's going to give a free kick. He's sure he's got to give one. Indirect free kick.
Yeah, it has to be indirect. Laurent was the player involved. And fortunately, I think it just caught his elbow and maybe got a little bit of a nick on the head. But certainly, the foot was too high. Studs were showing. Referee had only one option. And Laurent was a little bit blind with it because the ball was coming over his shoulder. He wasn't really fully aware of where the player was. No malice involved. I don't know what Patrick Vieira is talking to the referee about. It was just simply a foul.
Michael Ball and Arteta standing over it. Lehmann is busy organising his wall. Last one got through. There wasn't any danger. See the position that they've left open there. There's the invitation for Arteta. There is a tiny gap there. There's going to be Arteta. He's gone right around it, and Lehmann uses a double fist to get it away. It's not completely away from danger until just now. There's an offside there. It won't count even if it goes in. And the wall seemed to not particularly well constructed there.
No, I don't think the wall could do much more. Once that ball's moved, if I was being critical of the wall, once that ball is moved 2 or 3 yards to the side, we can see it, and it's a great angle. The wall's doing nothing. It's not protecting any part of the goal. So as soon as that ball is passed to the side, they should break up and do something different. All credit to this man. He made a fantastic save, come out and narrowed the ankle and did what he had to do, and that was get his fist to the ball and make it go a distance.
Arteta getting caught in possession to Ross. Well, regardless of what the critics feel about the respective strengths and weaknesses of both Celtic and Rangers as actual football teams, one thing that would be significantly enhanced if they were inside the Premier League would be the atmospheres. Who would not want to be playing in what we've seen at Ibrox and at Celtic Park?
Oh no, it's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, and they really do get behind their team. It is a hotbed of football. They really support the players that play in their shirt, and as you say, anybody would love to come and play at these stadiums on a regular basis.
The other thing, of course, is it would make playing for either of those two clubs, if you were trying to attract players, certainly a bit easier. You would have thought.
Yeah, undoubtedly. Yeah, undoubtedly. I think that's the problem, that they really only play 3 or 4 serious games a year. The rest of them are looked upon as well. They should win every game. And I think if they could offer Premiership football, I can't see it happening. I think it's all hypothetical, but in the foreseeable future. But they're still massive clubs.
Well, Vieira's ball again was a little loose. Toure and Lauren between them, providing enough cover.
Rangers have done quite well. We're halfway through the first half, and they would be quite pleased with what has gone on so far. That's very loose.
Well, free kick had been given. Interesting insight into what Bergkamp was trying to do there, even from that distance with his back to goal. You'd seen he'd already had a look to see where Stefan Klos was, because the first thing he did was swing and try and chip him.
Well, he's as bright as a button, isn't he, Dennis Bergkamp? Has scored many, many marvellous goals. Goals you wouldn't expect another player to score, and he can just open up doors that are really lock solid, but he's a wonderful talent.
Well, he did come very close to quitting in the summer until a deal was thrashed out.
I can't see anybody wanting to quit. You know, when they've got the ability and the fitness level that Bergkamp has.
I don't think he wanted to quit. I think it was stalling on the side of the club.
I know it's all money, but even to contemplate it even in the slightest fashion, when you can play with this great quality of player against some of the great club sides in the world, in the Premiership, it's just marvellous to be involved.
Well, you wonder what thoughts are going through his mind. His name has been linked, Arsene Wenger, with virtually every major club name in Europe over the past couple of years. He's been steadfastly loyal to Arsenal. But you can imagine, as he said, what's going through his mind as he sits back and has to deflect basically daily stories about Thierry Henry and Patrick Vieira as Arsenal give away another free kick, Ray Parlour, and then he watches the revolution, of course, that is happening over at Chelsea with the latest 2 signings of, so it looks, Joe Cole and Juan Sebastian Veron. Oh, and again he's caught in possession now. There's a great position taken up by De Boer, and Thompson was in a good position as well, but the speed of the passing caught Rangers out there.
Well, Vieira has been caught 2 or 3 times, so he really needs the game. He has played 30 minutes. That's just slightly more than 30 minutes against Celtic, so he really does need first-team football. Still a wonderful player, and still, I believe, with Henry, the major player on the Arsenal side. But he has been caught recently 2 or 3 times, which will not please him at all.
Lauren. Standing off, Lauren will shoot if he's given the opportunity. Vieira. Bergkamp, nice move this building up from Arsenal. Lauren's in there, Bergkamp's in front of him, Lauren feeds it in, Bergkamp's there. Again, it was well read.
Well, it's been an even first half so far. Both teams having quite a lot of possession, one or two errors of course, but so far not too many chances.
The face of Michael Ball, steeped in concentration, desperate to perform well for this club this season. This is Lauren. Oh, he did really well to get that ball across there. Had no right to in the position that he was in. That looked as if it had gone out of play, Ljungberg. How is Arsene Wenger feeling? Looking across at Chelsea and, you know, deflecting those news stories daily about Vieira's departure and Henry's departure.
Well, he'd be devastated if he lost any one of those two, that's for sure. And of course we all recognise what's going on over there. Here's a little bit of a mess Rangers got themselves in.
Fiver's ball, well worked out of it there.
But Wenger will be looking forward to new seasons. No matter what you say, he still has great quality players in his club, and he'll be smarting a little bit that they had such a terrific season last year for, well, almost 3/4 of the season, and then all let it drift. So he'll want to try and address that, make it right, and hopefully win the championship, although it's going to be tough.
And Wenger had a good season, the guy that we've just seen there. An outstanding one. After the era, of course, of Dick Advocaat, there was a lot of promise and not a great deal delivered. It was finally something to really get their teeth into and get excited about last year. And this is neat play in possession from Rangers. Arteta, the pre-match build-up, they came out and said they were taking this game seriously. They want to be involved. There's a lot of competition for places up here. And the SPL, of course, kicks off at the weekend.
Well, I don't know what Arteta was trying to do there. He was trying to run through Ashley Cole, but the England man, he stood his ground and used his pace and his great experience to keep him out.
As you said, the one thing that he will be remembered for is that fifth goal, the penalty kick that he took that gave Rangers that 5-1 scoreline on the final day of the season, which delivered them the championship. And that was a decision by him that took some guts to step up and take that.
It was a wonderful end of the season, all the same, wasn't it? You'd want more and more teams involved in it, but I think we've got to recognise the fact that Rangers and Celtic are so far ahead of everybody else. It's going to be that kind of dominance this year again.
Well, Scottish football as well, their cause has been aided by the fact that Celtic made it to a European final, that match which was perhaps instantly forgettable as a football spectacle against Porto. And the fact that they made it to a final really does count significantly. That was a very late challenge. Well, not late, but slightly mistimed, I suppose. That was Edu, 17. It's a nice turn from Jefferson. Now has he got the power to just barge his way through? Not this time. They do lots of little touches and inspiring moves off the ball from Bergkamp in these early 28 minutes.
But this is good for Rangers, this test against a very inventive Arsenal side. They try things in and around the box, flicks here, flicks there. So for defenders, they've got to be alive, alert, and stay with those players, and also read where the ball's going to be played. And so far, the Rangers defenders have done a very good job.
Six there is Barry Ferguson. His campaign was equally outstanding. That's the player of the season, really, overall, when you look at his total contribution to Rangers' successes last year. This is Ray Parlour. Parlour, brilliant cutback that was from Ray Parlour there. Just really did invite somebody to attack it.
Well, the body's in. They're unfortunate to the extent that it ran between so many of them, but good play by Arsenal. Great cross. And as you say, just needed that final touch to put the ball in the back of the net.
No, Vieira slipping on the turf. There's been a light dusting of rain. This is Lovenkrantz. Oh, Lovenkrantz's ball goes right across the 6-yard area. And Thompson Was about the only one who was in the vicinity. Still, Arsenal have to defend. Thompson, De Boer is in there as well.
Yeah, disappointing cross from De Boer because we expect better from him. But a very good period of play from Rangers. Very quick, very alive, very alert. Seizing on any mistake, getting the ball there, getting the crosses in. Not enough bodies in.
Well, he is one of the prize jewels here at Ibrox, Mikel Arteta. Lauren, Vieira, could have done better with that ball that time, Edu.
Well, he came forward. I think he chose the right option. There was a lot of green in front of him and he was not really pressed, so he had a strike at goal. Trust the old left foot he has. And it was a good block, so I think good play by Arsenal, but good defending once again by the Rangers team.
18 appearances he made last season, Edu, which is the most since he's been here in his third season when he signed from Corinthians back in 2000. Parler waiting for Lauren on the overlap. Lauren, that's a beautiful delivery again. Jeffers is in there, just couldn't elevate himself. Cole begins to make that overlapping run. Ray Parler, Edu, looking for some width. Edu might go on his own. Edu, oh, it's taking a deflection, and it's 1-0. It looks like, and indeed it is, Freddie Ljungberg.
Well, we talked about Edu before when he had the chance to shoot and it was blocked, and I think that's the joy of having a player like him. You see, he makes a position. Nobody really closed him down. I'd like to have seen that better. It came off Morris Ross. A bit Walt Disney, really. If you're a Rangers supporter, it's a beast of a deflection. But if you're an Arsenal supporter, it's a beauty. So they'll be well pleased with that goal. And quite honestly, it shows a little bit of a reflection of the play. Maybe Arsenal having the better of the last 5 minutes, but cruel luck for this man. Young Ross just couldn't get there, came off from keeper, no chance. But I think overall, if he's learned a lesson from it, he maybe should have closed down that little bit quicker.
Bit generous to give Edu the goal. He doesn't score too many. Last goal in the season just gone, he scored one in the 2-0 victory against Manchester United at Old Trafford. You may remember in the FA Cup that outstanding day that Arsenal performed so well there, and perhaps equally as memorable was the miss from Ryan Giggs. But he's got a credit for that. 3 goals in total for him last season. It'll be interesting to see just what reaction we get from Glasgow Rangers.
Well, very similar in their approach to the game, and we have mentioned that Celtic closed down very quickly. We see again, I think it was Barry Ferguson there, and he has done that 2 or 3 times. Gets very close in the middle of the park, really not allowing Arsenal to settle, get into a pattern of play. They haven't been as efficient as Celtic were on Saturday, but I think it's because Arsenal needed that one game. They look a better side, more competent side, and of course with Bergkamp, we have mentioned, and Vieira in the side, Parler on the right, they look better shape.
Nice little touch that time, Vieira making his way forward. Now they might get a try. Jeffers there! And very unlucky, held it up well, spun and got it very nearly on target.
Well, that's the fox in the box in him. You see the play in there, very quick in the middle of the park, Ray Parlour, lovely little pass through, and then again from Freddie Lundberg, the same. Jeffers, great awareness. Rangers need to close down better there. I think if he had slid the ball in, there was another Arsenal player who might have just been able to pass the ball in the back of the net. Got a deflection, but that's where Jeffers needs to play, and he certainly is terrific in that area with his awareness and with his finishing.
This is a player that doesn't suffer from lack of awareness. Dennis Bergkamp. New deal, perhaps a renewed enthusiasm and vigour for the season to come. Aiming it toward Vieira on the near post. From his 79 caps that he thought may never be added to a game, they were talking about, or Dick Advocaat was talking about in the build-up to the last Dutch European Championship qualifiers. We'll just see what happens here with Lauren as he goes very deep with that ball. They were talking about the fact that Advocaat felt that he didn't have a player that was able to supply that pass from the position in the field that somebody like Bergkamp, he said, adopts. And when you consider where the European Championships are going to be next season, as that was Bergkamp once again, this is going to be Lauren. Lauren might try one himself, and that wasn't too far away either. Going back to Bergkamp, though, possibility that he may be recalled.
Well, I think youth is no age. I've said it many times before. I think Bergkamp is a master, and if you've got a lot of young legs and he does work hard himself, there's no reason why you can't have someone like Dennis in the side, because he plays in that wonderful position where he comes off the strike, off the defenders, makes himself space, and he has got that great awareness and great passing ability. So I would certainly consider him for a team, and they're a very strong and formidable outfit, the Dutch. You wonder why they haven't won the trophies they should have won with all that quality. And can you imagine Bergkamp with Van Nistelrooy? I mean, when he's sliding them into him and he's lethal in there, it would be a very, very dangerous twosome. But at this minute, come back to this game, I think Rangers need to come into terms of the game. Arsenal are dominating the play. They're playing them in the Rangers half. Rangers just simply can't get out, and every ball out has been a long, hopeful pass in the middle of the park. Arsenal just seem to win it back at will. So Arsenal dominating. Really, Rangers need to look at themselves, and since the goal, they've got to take stock, get shape, and get on the ball.
Jory in possession just a minute or so ago, made his international debut earlier on in the season for the Ivory Coast in a match that heralded big changes for the Cameroon. They beat them 3-0. They were 3 up by half time. So there is Lauren. Led to the introduction of that young goalkeeper, Kameni. You may have seen that Wolves have been trying to sign now. Vieira almost managed to thread that through right into the path of Freddie Lundberg.
Well,
Lauren.
They're really peppering them at the minute, and you just sense there's going to be more goals if Rangers don't settle down and get on the ball. And the nice thing, Parlour on the right-hand side, what he does, he can walk the chalk. He can do that no problem, but he can play 20 yards in, allowing Lauren to come around the outside of him.
This is Maurice Ross, needs a good delivery. That's not a bad delivery from Maurice Ross. What about that for a get-out? Brilliant piece of defending there. And Thompson had a view of the goal, but it didn't last too long.
No, good play by Rangers. Maurice Ross involved here. Made great strides down that right-hand side. Terrific cross. Thompson should have had more awareness about him. I think he did the right thing trying to get the ball down. 10 out of 10 to Lauren. He was the one attacking, well, less than 30 seconds ago. And there he was, back defending. I think when we reflect on the game, I know we're coming to 40 minutes of this first half, I'm thinking about the chances that Rangers have created. The one free kick off the post, the free kick that the keeper just had a punch out. But I think in general play there hasn't really been too many chances created. Alec McLeish, well, he'll be a little bit concerned at this moment in time. Arsenal are really pressing an area. Rangers can't make the pitch as big as they would like, and they can't keep the ball.
Now remember, neither of these two sides are quite at full strength. This is Ashley Cole. Rangers made something of an interesting acquisition earlier on in the day with Vanoli, the Italian defender who spent the last year or so at Bologna, but really did make something of a name as a bit of a hard man during his time at Fiorentina, just before everything went all very wrong there. That was Vieira's ball. Jeffers looking to find Lumberg, looking to find Bergkamp, looking to make some space to try and curl when you could see what was in his mind there. This is Ashley Cole. This is good possession play from Arsenal. Vieira.
No, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. In that tight area, in around the 18-yard box, they're passing the ball about, moving the point of attack, hoping that Rangers will make a mistake. On that occasion, the mistake was made by Dennis Bergkamp. And Rangers coming away. Rangers playing almost as the away side on the break, trying to win the ball and then trying to win away.
We've seen a little less of Lovenkrands. We saw him in full operational mode inside the opening 10 minutes when he was causing Toure and Laurent to come over and cover him. Arsene Wenger, the expression doesn't tend to change much. Deep, studious.
Well, you're talking about the Rangers left winger, but you could say that about the whole Rangers side. Early stages very prominent and good passing, everybody wanting the ball, everybody closing down, but certainly in the last 10 or 15 minutes they've really been on the back foot.
Going back to Vanoli, he has come into contact with the Glasgow Rangers. He played or faced them in a Champions League qualifier back in 1999. He obviously made an impression on McLeish because he's been tracking him for virtually the entire season.
When Arsenal are that little bit angry, they do look a marvellous side, don't they? They can create space, and you just feel that their pride was a little bit damaged in the first half against Celtic, and they're now coming to show Scotland what they really can do. And we've seen a much better, much brighter Arsenal performance in this game so far, and it's not over yet, but they did show that sign in the later stages of the Celtic game.
Well, remember, of course, we said it before, not at full strength. They're missing, as we said, the likes of Vanoli, Capucha, Rix and Arveladze. Henning Berg is expected to sign full-time in the morning, tomorrow morning. So those four, you imagine, are going to have significant contribution to make to Glasgow Rangers' new season.
Well, it is still a pre-season friendly, and although there's that little bit of an edge with it being such a big club from south of the border, they'll be wanting to look at players, and they will be wanting to add to the squad, and it's getting harder to improve on the quality players you've got if you only get limited resources, and certainly in later years Rangers have only had limited resources. But this is a great test for them, and it lets them see exactly what they've got to do if they're going to do well in the Championship, their own domestic. But what about the Champions League? How equipped are they for that? As this game has gone so far, they're just a little bit short.
We've seen players slipping. It's not pouring down with rain. It's been very dry, but we've had, as I said, a light dusting of rain on the surface in the hours building up to this game, and clearly some finding it difficult to maintain their feet. Maurice Ross, not one of them. He's provided some good quality crosses in this game, Ross. Unfortunately for him, nobody on the end of them.
But Arsenal just seem to be growing in stature, don't they? The goal has obviously helped them. And but they're fighting their men more. There's more shape. They're stretching them from left to right. They're stretching them from back to front.
Michael Ball involved. You worked with Michael Ball as well with the youth team in England.
I did. Well, here's a break by Rangers.
This is De Boer. Oh, it was almost an inch perfect ball there by De Boer. And for once, Lovenkrands had gone infield as De Boer had gone outfield, and that's going to be a free kick offside. Francis Jeffers.
Well, we haven't seen much of De Boer at all this afternoon. It was nice to see him involved in the game there. He's been well tied down, but then Arsenal on the break, you can see the movement, and it's the unselfish movement off the ball, almost one-touch football. If you look at the Arsenal team, not many players take more than 2, maybe 3 at the maximum touches. There's so much movement for them and so many options.
Vieira stands off. That's an offside. Just didn't time the run quite well enough. Barry Ferguson, that season last year, it had everything for Barry Ferguson. Made his 150th appearance in the cup final win. And the 16-goal total that he managed in the course of that campaign was his best ever. 19 in all competitions, 8 penalty kicks. He got a hat-trick in there as well. Got a red card too, so it was never a dull day in his season. Vieira, perhaps 45 minutes after the 30 is going to be enough for him. It's been impressive in two halves of this first half. Rangers were the better team in the opening period. Arsenal bided their time and came good in the end, although it was a bit lucky with a strike from Edu.
Well, I think you can look at it a whole lot of ways, but I think Arsene Wenger will be quietly pleased. It's been a very effective first half, efficient first half. I think Rangers need to regroup. They've been really tested in the last 20-25 minutes. And if they don't get themselves organised better, here we see the goal, the ricochet, keeper no chance. There could be more issues to talk about like that.
We'll take a short break. Join us again back at Ibrox in a couple of minutes' time. And welcome back from me, Tim Capel and Brian Hamilton here in Ibrox. Michael Mols is coming on in this second half. Looks as if he's come on for Lovenkrantz. Steve Hughes, of course, Arsenal know all about him. He's come on for Mikel Arteta. Giovanni van Bronckhorst has come on as well, the former Rangers player. He's on for Ray Parlour. Michael Mols. And those two have a bit of history, you may remember. Product of the Ibrox youth policy, Stephen Hughes. Now, the history, of course, with Mols and Bergkamp. Bergkamp was at Ajax, whilst Mols was at Utrecht. And those two clubs, well, it's not quite Celtic and Rangers, but I'll tell you, it is very competitive, both on and off the pitch.
But the Dutch have produced players for fun over the last few years, and when you look at some of the quality players playing throughout Europe and also on the pitch today, there is competition, of course there is, but the real big three in Holland, they have produced players which have graced many tournaments and many teams. I just think Bergkamp's special purely because he's stood the test of time and he's been such a wonderful player for Arsenal. But I've got to say, De Boer, I saw him and his brother playing against Ireland many years ago in a playoff game at Anfield, and I thought the two of them were absolutely magnificent, absolutely fantastic. I really looked at them, enjoyed them, and I thought, well, they could play anywhere, midfield, wide left, up front, the total footballers. That
was the night that a certain Patrick Kluivert came to prominence to many in England, I think.
Well, I remember the game, and we all thought Ireland had a chance basically because it was a playoff game, but they were so outplayed, and it wasn't that they played so badly, it was just the Dutch were just mesmerising, and they had, as I say, so many quality players, and I thought the De Boer brothers were probably the best players on the pitch.
So those two changes made for Arsenal. Interesting to see what role Ray Parlour will have in the upcoming season. There were a few occasions during the last campaign where his name was linked with a move away from Highbury. The last thing that is on Ray Parlour's mind is a move anywhere from Highbury. The club runs through his blood. He's been there ever since he made his debut. Now there's some defending to do here. That ball across from goal.
Well, I just think if Rangers don't get their act together, and here we see
here's Vieira
through.
Vieira, penalty kick. Penalty kick. And what do you got to say? I mean, they're claiming that Vieira has dived, but in no way was it a dive. I mean, it was a challenge there from Robert Malcolm, and it was a penalty kick given away by Robert Malcolm.
Well, he had actually lost the ball, so for Rangers' part, Malcolm's unfortunate there, but there's definitely contact. Vieira, brilliant. A little step over, changed direction, went down the right-hand side and just got the touch beyond him, and Malcolm did collide with him. Referee couldn't give anything else, and Rangers will feel a little bit aggrieved because Vieira had lost control of the ball. But I had this worry about them right from the start of the second half. Arsenal, and certainly at the tail end, well, 20 minutes into for the last 20 minutes of the first half, were so much in charge. You just felt that the game was going to be a very one-sided affair if Rangers couldn't get on the ball.
Laren, 2-0.
Well, simplicity itself, a lovely penalty kick, and there's Arsene Wenger smiling. We don't see that very, very often. He's obviously very pleased with the way his team are playing. And here we see Laren, just a little shimmy. Indicated he was going to play the ball maybe in the bottom right-hand corner and just slid the ball along the ground with the side of his foot. You've got to have great confidence and great surety about yourself if you're going to take penalty kicks like that, where you can look really horrible. The keeper can just stand still and pick the ball up, but not on that occasion. And you've got to say you worry a little bit for Rangers. They need to come into the game, and if they don't, there could be more goals for Arsenal.
You couldn't say that the fans weren't backing them again. That volume is cranked right up to a deafening level inside this stadium. Mons alongside Thompson up front with De Boer there as well. There is potential and plenty of it.
Well, you talk about this crowd, and they are so demanding but so loyal, and they really do get behind their team, and they've gone, well, they're not quiet, but they're certainly, you can tell, a little bit agitated.
Laren again. Vieira. Booing won't worry Vieira. Seen it all, heard it all many times before.
I don't think it was Vieira's fault at all. I think it was just inexperience by the young centre-back, and you could see Alex McLeish looking at him after the penalty had gone in, looking and saying, "No, you don't do that, that's silly."
Good pace from Sol Campbell to get across and cover that.
That's Campbell at his best.
Beginning his third season in the red and white of Arsenal since that rather controversial move away from White Hart Lane. Well, we've had a chance to look at both clubs from North London in the past couple of days, and certainly no chance that Arsenal are going to be leaving this field to the same reception Spurs got when they came off against PSV Eindhoven on Sunday. Ljungberg. 17 Edu.
You know, that must be music in Patrick Vieira's ears. Oh,
that's a great ball then from Bergkamp. Absolutely millimetre perfect.
Well, it was the run from Vieira which made it all happen. It was Craig Moore trying to get back. You could see it being floated in. There it comes in. Lovely curl on it. But it's that run from the middle of the park. He takes everybody's attention. You can't leave it for the keeper. You've got to deal with it. And it's put more pressure in the Rangers defence.
Sol Campbell coming forward. This is Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. That's a good delivery from Van Bronckhorst. And Campbell was in there at the near post.
Well, there's such a difference at the moment in the two sides. Good movement from both sets of all the attackers. Defenders had to go with them, so there was a lot of movement in the box. Keeper can't really come for the cross. And Sol Campbell, he got there, good run, but didn't really head it as well as he would have wanted to. Sure, he let the ball hit his head rather than him power the ball down.
Malcolm and Moore have had something of a torrid time. Too short there for Hughes. 16 Van Bronckhorst. Laren is making ground, brings it down and under control. Laren, quick look up. Haven't seen too much of Francis Jeffers in this game, but it's not been the type of game that he can really profit from, I suppose, really, has it? Being fair to him.
Well, to be fair, he had one chance, half a chance, which he turned and hit very well. But as you say, I thought he was quiet against Celtic. I think he's done okay today, but really hasn't really convinced Arsene Wenger, I'm sure, that he should be left in the side and Thierry Henry left out. But you just feel there's a difference in class now with the experience of the Arsenal side, keeping, passing, movement. Rangers really stretched at the moment, trying to get their shape right. They just can't come to terms with the speed of the ball being moved about. and they can't get on the ball. That's the biggest problem they have. They need to get on it, get a bit of confidence, bring one or two players into it, and try and relieve the pressure on the back line.
Vieira, look at Vieira's run. He's unchecked here. Patrick Vieira, still there. Vieira, still there. Zimberg ran out of position now. Easy take there for Stefan Kloss.
Wow, there's Bergkamp again. Magician trying to open up something, but again Vieira. I mean, Rangers fans obviously giving a bit of a torrid time, but there's a lot of respect there as well, and I think that they would love to see someone of his class and his calibre in the, well, on this occasion, the red and white stripes, because he is just a giant of a midfield player.
Now Mols. Where's chance for the popular Dutchman?
Well, good play. They need to do more of this. Where you see the ball coming in, it's Vieira makes a challenge, misses it, lovely little flick. Mols turns very well. Doesn't strike the ball as cleanly as he would have wanted to, but he tested the keeper, and that's better signs for Rangers.
Well, you know, everywhere you looked, we've mentioned them throughout the course of this game as players who had outstanding seasons. He too had another one as well. 27 appearances, which was the most he's managed in the 4 seasons that he's been here after injury has cut short his time. Also, best record in front of goal as well. 13 times he scored last season, and it bodes well for this campaign as well. 63 games since he's arrived, as we said, in 4 seasons, so you can see just how injury interrupted his campaign has been.
Almost not occasion too many cooks, almost spoiling the situation for Arsenal. 3 players wanted the ball and they're just passing at will. Actually, you get a situation like this, it's not easy because they are a great side, Arsenal, but almost Rangers would have to go one-on-one and try and pin them down and say, look, we're going to stop you getting the ball, we're not going to allow you to pass around us like you're doing, and try and put that kind of pressure on them. They don't. They're just going to be pressed all the time, and you just feel there's more goals for Arsenal if it continues like this. That's better from Rangers. Get the ball, pass it, bring people into play, take a little bit of rest, or give the back four a little bit of respite, and move the Arsenal team all over the pitch. If they can do that, they might just get in the game.
Late challenge, and Aaron. Referee just having a quiet word.
Well, the referee's very lenient. I mean, in a normal game that would have definitely been a yellow card, but terrific turn by De Boer, and Laurent there showing his inexperience as a defender.
Campbell swings it away. Vieira. Let's look at this. Plenty of movement forward there for Arsenal, and shrug of the shoulders almost for Jeffers as another move goes begging. Harry Ferguson there. Still question marks over his complete levels of fitness. That's offside.
It's a huge disappointment, that, because from our position we could even see he was 4 yards offside, and he was looking right along the line. The referee's assistant didn't have a big problem there. He just saw it early on, and it's good play again by Rangers. Ferguson involved on that occasion, so he needs to try and dominate a little bit more of the middle of the park, because the yellow shirts of Arsenal are doing that at the moment.
Van Bronckhorst. Advocaat remaining loyal as well to some of the players that he knew so well up here. Van Bronckhorst one, Rickson the other. This is Lauren.
Michael Ball feel better after that. Good challenge. He cut the ball out, but again, swift, sweet play. Vieira once again involved. Laurent down that right-hand side, try to play in the early cross. And Michael Ball, good challenge, as I say, back after a lot of injury, and he'll want to make 1 or 2 challenges like that.
Jeffers waiting patiently, and he'll have to wait patiently a little longer. And Stephen Hughes. Vieira has gone toward the near post. Nobody marking really on the back post. I mean, it still managed to find its way to Jeffers' foot, couldn't bring it under control.
Well, Jeffers should have done better. He's done ever so well to come off the back post, actually, and nobody came with him. The ball went right through. It should have been dealt with before it got there, but when it went to him, his first touch wasn't good enough, and if it had been clinical, he would have certainly had a striking goal. But Rangers need to beware.
It's a free kick. I was going to say about Jeffers, never really been afforded the run that he's desired in the first team. I mean, his overall ratio of 18 in 47 since he's been there isn't so bad when you consider the stop-start nature of his time at Arsenal. Now, Freddie Ljungberg is standing over this. Well, possible moves will return to Everton for Jeffers, but those have been dismissed. Now here he comes again. And Campbell is there from Bergkamp's cross, and Arsenal are 3 up.
No, it's really one-way traffic at the moment. You can see the smile on Sol Campbell's face. Every one of the Arsenal players playing with a smile. And really, on that occasion, keeper nowhere. When you come off your line like that, you've got to make contact. And he did nothing. Campbell was allowed to break free and head the ball in the empty net. So Arsenal definitely in charge.
Not an unusual position for Sol Campbell. Remember in the days that Tottenham, when they were struggling, he was asked to play as a centre forward on numerous occasions. Big, difficult to handle, almost completely impossible to handle. He's so big and powerful.
Well, it was a fantastic free kick from Bergkamp, and you've got to say that it wasn't unexpected, the free kick coming in like that. You've got to ask questions about the Rangers defence. They really allowed Campbell a free header, and I just worry a little bit for them at the moment. They seem to be getting run ragged. They can't get any shape about their play, and you just feel that Arsenal, if they really wanted to move up another gear, they could actually inflict quite a heavy defeat on Rangers, which would do Rangers no good at all as they approach the first game of the season. First competitive game of the season.
Well, he's not going to be happy.
Well, he's looking at his watch, and I can understand why, because he has to make something happen, and I can't see it with the players out there. I think Barry Ferguson, terrific young midfield player, and is very, very influential for Rangers, but totally being dominated by Patrick Vieira, although that's happened to many good players.
Well, to be fair to Barry Ferguson, he's still not sure about his overall levels of fitness. He's back, of course, and they wonder whether he's going to be playing at all tonight, or whether they were just going to leave and wait until the opening game at the weekend. Ljungberg is down, and the referee, Kenny Clark, just cooling a few tempers here that are threatening to just step out of line. I mean, nothing really wrong with that, and Ljungberg did take a couple of additional rolls when he didn't need to.
Well, I mean, he did get brought down. It was Craig Moore was responsible. That's pure frustration. Just pure frustration. They can't get close enough. They can't get in a challenge. The referee's done really well for Craig Moore on that occasion, because quite honestly it was a booking offence, and I think maybe...
Now, beautifully taken free kick. Now, can Kloss? Yes, he can. Well, Jeffers again. It is a bit unfortunate for Francis Jeffers. He's been in positions where there have been possibilities, but not great possibilities.
No, that was poor touch, and it's a confidence thing, I think, with him at the moment. He just appears as if he lacks a little bit of confidence. If he had been really the Jeffers we know of old, he'd have been on that and he'd have slotted in the back of the net, and that was another chance gone a begging.
Just a quick word as well about this injury is being treated about Dennis Bergkamp, when you consider the fact that there has been so little in terms of money being made available to Arsene Wenger as Chris Burke gets ready to come on for Glasgow Rangers. It was vitally important, if they want to progress in Europe, that he signs another deal now. That was aimed towards Sol Campbell forward again. So much running and movement off the ball, and fluidity and purpose from Arsenal. Vieira again. He's looking to the bench, and I think he's about to come off as well. Now, here we go, a rash of changes coming up here. Interestingly enough, Jermaine Pennant's going to come on, Pascal Sigan's going to come on, and Carnu is coming on. Jeffers coming off for Kanu. Again, another player who was thought was possibly on his way. He's got another year to go on his contract. They've been, I think, it's been made clear that Arsene Wenger would like to keep him as a squad player. Again, with Europe in mind. And Chris Burke coming on for Glasgow Rangers.
Well, I think what has happened in the last 2 minutes tells you an awful lot about the two teams. I think when you look at the quality of players coming on, Kanu and Van Bronckhorst coming on, quite honestly, it just lets you see how strong you have to be if you're going to be a competitive force in your domestic league, but also in European football. And Rangers have still a lot to do. I know there's players to come back, and there's talk about them signing one or two more. But really, we're seeing a very, very good performance from a very able Arsenal side.
Yeah, as we said, there's a whole clutch of names for Rangers that are not even being in consideration for this game tonight. But this is a name that is well known, of course, and Freddie Ljungberg just slips at the vital moment. And lucky for Rangers that he did, because there were numerous possibilities on there. Bergkamp showing that it's not all the flashy touches. He can get involved when he wants to as well. Cole being put under some pressure until Sigan.
But going back a moment there, the pass through for Ljungberg from Bergkamp. You talked earlier on about him being the player to open doors and go back into the Dutch side. And I mean, quite honestly, Ljungberg should have scored there. He took an extra touch and lost a chance, but the pass was exquisite from Bergkamp.
There's Cole. That was a welcome to the game challenge from Maurice Ross. And Freddie Ljungberg, who's had it a bit easy, he's dished out a bit tonight. And he's been on the receiving end of a few tasty challenges in the past 10 minutes.
Well, I think if we're looking to give credit, we don't see many sliding tackles. And Ross, he definitely played the ball, but I think he had a piece of the Arsenal player before he got it.
It'll be interesting to see as well the performance and contribution of the player who's just left the ball there, Jermaine Pennant, of the upcoming season. In flashes, we've seen him over the past couple of seasons perform for the England youth teams and indeed for Arsenal. The way he performed in the final game of the season, well, the last day at home, that was in the hat-trick in the 6-1 victory over Southampton. A player, I mean, is there a player in the country with as much individual talent? We'll just wait and see what happens from this as Sigan goes toward the near post.
Well, the question you asked, I mean, there is obviously a lot of talent out there in the country, and certainly compatible, if not better than the young man Pennant. But he needs a chance to play. We've watched him play at different levels, and certainly has shown that he can move up a gear and move up a level. And it'll be an interesting test for him now, coming on, a team playing ever so well, 3-0 up, and he should really be able to show himself.
Well, he had 2 loans at Watford in the last year or so, but that isn't where he wants to be. The player who made a name, of course, when he moved from Notts County.
You know, this is a great education for Rangers as well. It'll let them see exactly what is, you know, needed. For coaches, I always think they use it that way. They'll sit the players down and say, now that's what we've got to do. The work rate is phenomenal from Arsenal. They put challenges in, they get tight the midfield players, they get the service early forward, they hold the ball up. And as I say, when you look at Arsenal, and if you count the number of passes each of the players have throughout a movement, most of them maximum 3, because there's that many options on for them, that much movement, and they are just a class apart, certainly today. And you can see why they're going to be one of the contenders for the Premiership in England this year.
That's another offside. Cole had pushed up in time. Mole's offside. I'll tell you something else, it's not really like watching Rangers, is it, in red and white stripes?
Well, I obviously I think it's a commercial decision. I'm not sure why they should change their shirts, because Arsenal playing the red, Rangers playing the blue. It would be quite a contrast, but for a variety of reasons, and I always think the great God money has a part to play. They're both playing in their different shirts.
Or whatever, you can't imagine that being a major seller over and above the light blue. This is Chris Burke. Neat from Chris Burke, gets a round of applause to go with it as well. Here he is again. Burke slips it through Cole. Didn't make an appearance last season. Central right midfield player. This is Kanu. Well, important as well for Arsenal that they kept him as well. At least keeps the depth of the squad there for when they take on the Champions League. Offside decision this time was against Arsenal. That's Kanu, 1 year left on his contract at 27 years of age. Only 6 times on the score sheet in all competitions last season. His last goal, competitive goal, was in the 3-2 loss by Nigeria, actually, against Jamaica. Robert Malcolm.
Yeah, it's got through really a scrappy spell. You know, Rangers trying to get the grips with the game, Arsenal trying to really impose themselves more, because they definitely have made a big impression in this Rangers team, and certainly in the crowd. I think they know a good side, they know good players, and they can definitely say that their team has had a very testing time today. I'm not saying it's men and boys, I don't think that's the case, but when you look at the lots of fresh young faces in the Rangers side, people who really haven't had that kind of experience at league level, and you look at the Arsenal side, it's filled with experienced players, competitors, you know, and stature wise are strong mentally and physically. And I just think it's a great exercise for Rangers and Scottish football, because we would expect Rangers and Celtic to do very well if they were in the Premiership. Now, whether they could win it or not, I'm not too sure. But on today's showing, they would definitely need to strengthen their squad.
Haven't had too much chance to take much of the measure of Jens Lehmann. He's a keeper with experience, Lehmann, at 33 years of age. He did, though, go through a spell where he completely and totally and utterly, if you can add that word onto that, lost his confidence. He moved to Milan after 10 seasons with Schalke, which is where he made his name, and he bombed big time. I mean, he completely lost it there and became something of a figure of fun, and was shipped straight back to Germany. I mean, no question that he was going to be allowed to stay. He was just shipped straight out. So it's impressive how he rebuilt his career after that, because for most they wouldn't, or perhaps couldn't. Now, well, it was a chance for Bergkamp, and usually he finishes with at least making the goalkeeper work.
Well, that's very uncharacteristic of Dennis Bergkamp. He followed the ball out, poor defending, we must say. The cross came in, the ball was headed out, poor defensive header. Bergkamp first touch brilliant, and then the second touch.
Well, there's not much conversation there. I think the look says it all. The last time we saw Jermaine Pennant was back with the England squad at 18 months or so ago. In a match against Germany. Janus was playing in the same team, and they literally did rip them apart.
But it's fantastic for a young player like Pennant to actually play with this kind of quality. And when you see we've talked about the movement, we've talked about the passion, you know, it's a great exercise for him. And to be on the scene green is Bergkamp, who can link up with him and help his game, and Vieira, who can talk to him and cajole him and encourage him. You know, that would speed up the learning process.
Well, if Arsenal get anything like the openings of the campaign that they had last year, then there will be no complaints from anybody. Remember, they just dropped 4 points in the opening 12 games. It was an outstanding start by Wenger's side, and that included the Champions League games as well.
Well, we just had a shot of the Rangers supporters there, and quite honestly, I think they wouldn't be unhappy if it was almost 90 minutes, because you can just sense
Kanu.
You can just sense Arsenal getting stronger, and there's a bewilderment about the faces of the Rangers players. They can't come to terms with the Arsenal performance, and certainly this game.
Well, what the fans at Highbury would dearly like to see is an Arsenal side putting together a sustained challenge in European competition. You know they can do it in the Premier League. You know they're more than a match for Manchester United, and the title could go two ways there. But it's in Europe where the true yardstick of measurement comes in, isn't there, really?
Yeah, well, looking at this game, I mean, it's just frustration, total frustration for Rangers. They just don't know which way to turn. Nielinga there, just the referee so well placed. I don't know how he could argue the case about it not being a handball, but to kick the ball away is just petty. And you can understand it to a degree, but you've got to keep your discipline. Once you lose your discipline, then you've lost a lot.
Just going back to that European question, the Champions League, they've had another year together as a team. It is about time we started looking at the later rounds of the Champions League, quarter semi-finals for Arsenal.
Well, they've got terrific players, and last year was a huge disappointment for them. It was really a huge disappointment for them. I think that when they were playing so well and they looked as if they weren't going to lose a game, and I think Arsene Wenger actually made that statement that he felt they weren't maybe going to lose a game throughout the season, which of course was very costly for him because it put a lot of pressure on him and on his players. But at that time they were playing magnificent, and I think they actually lost the matches themselves and didn't make the final stages. And it wasn't the teams were that much better than them, it was just they lost their way a little bit and didn't have that killer approach when it came to the big matches.
Pennant. In terms of quality of performance, despite the fact that they ultimately had the disappointment of Valencia to contend with. Now that's a neat little ball played in there toward Ljungberg, racing into the 6-yard area.
Well, what Rangers really need now is a goal. They need some inspiration from somewhere. I think they've tried all the moves they can from the bench, and the coach can't do much more. But they need a little bit of good luck at the minute. They need a little bit of something to change the course of this game, because the longer it goes, as we see there, well, he's kept the ball, the young player, but he's given it away now. And Arsenal back in possession. Look at that, 4 players. The speed of the pass is exceptional, and you always feel sorry. I've been in the position where you played against a team who are just simply better than you, and you've just got to hold your hands up.
And Chris Burke has made good ground. There he is. He's got 3 to aim at in the penalty area. Tried to get it around the back of Cole. He's slipped him once. Cole sticks a bit closer to him this time. Ross has provided some good quality ball during this game. In those Champions League seasons, there are always games that stick in the memory, and certainly Arsenal's match in PSV Eindhoven, I think that really was when they'd hit the heights. They really did destroy and left distraught Gus Hiddink. 4-0.
Well, they can be brilliant. They can be absolutely exhilarating, and that's why you're so surprised when they don't get the final stages.
That's Lehmann's ball. The other one was Juventus' 5-0 victory over Dynamo Kiev. It's not bad distribution that from Lehmann.
It's better than that bad. It's very good, and he is comfortable with the ball on his feet, and that's obviously what you've got to be now as a goalkeeper. You've got to be able to be almost the sweeper of the side, come out, pass, play, and certainly make good starts.
And of course, there's been plenty of goalkeeping movement now. Closest clearance. They've not made life easy for Arsenal in this game here, Rangers.
Well, that's the one thing you're sure of. They've got great fighting spirit, and as you say, an unbelievable season last year. So they are starting as champions, and they've got a fanatical support who would expect nothing but the best from them, and they have to work really hard to earn the shirt. But the quality of the Arsenal side has really been just too much for them today, and they were a bit fortunate, of course, with the first goal. First goals are always vital, and Arsenal just got it and just seemed to build on it from there.
Bergkamp. Then, of course, wasn't Arsenal's first choice as a goalkeeper. That was Rostu. Apparently there was a lot of concern over a knee injury, an old knee injury of Rostu's, and he was a bit disappointed. Now, penalty kick again, it's got to be. And Rangers really are going from bad to worse. Moore's foul on Ljungberg. I mean, it was a clear trip from behind, no doubt about the penalty.
Yeah, they need the final whistle, Rangers. Desperately need the final whistle, but the movement across the line from Ljungberg, the pass by Udo was just sheer class. very, very softly passed through to the player, and cynical foul. Again, lucky to only get a yellow card. Many occasions it could have been a red card, and it's one of those occasions when you've had Laurent taking the penalty kick before. Should they not try something different? Another player, but it's still a great test, and of course the Arsenal player has got the advantage of already scoring one.
Allowing them to really rub it in here and make it 4-0. Lauren against Kloss. Good save from Kloss. Finally, something to cheer about for Rangers fans here. He'd been a bit cheeky with the first penalty.
Well, I said that. You've got to be lucky, you've got to be arrogant, and you've got to be right with the pass, because that was a dreadful penalty kick, very similar to his first one, and that's the difference. You can have fantastic or dreadful, and the first one was fantastic because it went in, well placed. The keeper bought the shimmy. On that occasion he didn't, and it looked a dreadful penalty kick. But I do actually think there must be another penalty kick taker in the Arsenal side, somebody like Jeffers, you know, anybody at all. Bergkamp, you've got so much quality in Lindbergh on the pitch. Why don't they come up, give the goalkeeper a different thought, a different idea, and it also gives you experience taking penalty kicks, because they're going to win this game comfortably. And well, Laurent scored that first penalty kick and deserves credit, and I suppose 3-0 up, he's maybe a little bit relaxed, but a good save by the keeper.
There's Lundberg. Tennant's in a good position on marking, going toward the near post now. Looking at some of Arsenal's other statistics from last season. Oh, here comes the penalty, and well, I mean, it was asking to be saved, wasn't it?
Well, that's right. I'm only sorry Jeffers wasn't on the pitch, because I think he needs that kind of an opportunity just to put the ball in the back of the net, because I think Francis Jeffers has done okay in the two games, just okay, and I do think he needs a bit of confidence with a goal.
Bergkamp's coming off. Compare those penalties to the ones we saw being taken by Milan and Juventus. French junior forward, the number 32. And this is the new signing from Cannes, who made such an impression. And well, if anybody should know something about French teams, the lower league French teams, it would be Arsene Wenger, of course. Now, and more defending to do here, and Sigan was in there.
Well, it's all changed now, and they're just the game has lost a little bit of its shape, a little bit of its pattern, and really taken on a pre-season friendly.
This is Clichy. What a great start this could be. Well,
he's a confident young man. We saw him coming on against Celtic, and he did rather well. And he wants to get on the ball. He wants to impress, because he would love to spend his time with this quality of player playing in the Premiership.
Van Bronckhorst, Steve Smith there, and Kevin Muscat getting ready to come on for Rangers in these final 10 minutes.
Well, they're just so dominant now, even with the changes that have taken place. It's almost, I wouldn't say a second team out there, but certainly you would look upon the Arsenal side as not the strongest team by far.
Maurice Ross coming off.
Well, Rangers going to have a look at all their players. I've been slightly disappointed with Ronald de Boer today. I was expecting to see so much from him, but he was just squeezed out of the game.
So Steve Smith and Kevin Muscat, the 29-year-old right back. It's amazing, isn't it? The noise that's still being generated inside the stadium, the cheering, everything. And it is a great credit to the level of support that is enjoyed by Glasgow Rangers and indeed by Celtic.
Well, no, they are terrific supporters, and they've had a lot of joy over the last few years, so they'll take this as just a minor blip, really, and they would expect their team to be better, and they now realise, and Alex McLeish can use it as an argument anywhere he goes with directors, with owners, with supporters, that if you're going to be a major force in Europe, you've got to have a squad of player, and certainly a better quality of player. And he'll be glad to get this game out of the way. It's not the best game you want for your last competitive game before you start the season, but I'm sure he'll take pluses from it.
There's Ashley Cole. At least she begins to make a move. Cole. Still, even in these dying minutes of this game, and the fact that they're being well beaten, they still have not given up the chase. And it's one thing that is demanded of by the support that they get. And they've not disappointed in that respect.
Well, they haven't, and you're looking to try and take the positives out of it, and I thought the first 20 minutes they were very, very good. I think that they played quite well on the break. You could see when they had the ball and they got people forward. I think some of their players, are top quality players, haven't played as well as they can, but it'll be hard to take a 3-0, and it has been quite a resounding hammering at the end of the game. It could have been more.
Nothing doing, and Kanu didn't hear the whistle, or so he said he didn't hear the whistle.
Well, no player wants to get hurt in pre-season, that's for sure. You can see the Rangers supporters, although they are among some of the best supporters in the country, but they've obviously been disappointed, seen enough, know there's no way back for their team, and they've simply just been beaten by a better side.
Chris Burke, he's done quite a good job actually since he's come on.
Well, he's given energy, and you would expect that from young players playing at this level in front of this size of a crowd. He's got on the ball, he has passed and played, but really they've been second best almost all over the pitch.
What's he going to have to produce, McLeish, after last season to call this season as a success? I mean, nobody's going to expect him to win all 3 trophies again, are they?
Well, they almost have to beat Celtic, that's for sure, and it's the same for Celtic. They have to beat Rangers. They have to win the league for sure, and if they win 1 or 2 of the cups, well, then that's a bonus. But Europe,
so they've got to win everything.
Well,
then.
That's the way Scotland is. Rangers and Celtic are like that. That's where it's at with them. They will clean up. If they don't, there will be questions asked. But I think the measure will be Europe. Celtic did a remarkable job last year getting to the final and did themselves really good, and also Scottish football proud. So it's important that Rangers try and get on that bandwagon as well and play better in Europe. But as you can see today,
Arsenal are rolling, and there's a great chance here. Oh, what a good save that was. That's the young Frenchman. He too is only 19 years of age. Well, 20 actually was this year. 3 substitute appearances, joined in 2001. Not many people seen him. He scored a goal in the 5-2 victory against West Bromwich Albion on the 27th of August of last year, and that was it. He wasn't seen again for the entire season, which is something of a surprise. I mean, you can't ask the dude more than score a goal when you come on now. More work to be done here.
Oh, what an invitation of a ball. Lovely little ball from the
Clichy.
Yeah, little Frenchman. He just rolled it in behind the back 4. Aldiar was coming in there and really maybe just should have got a touch on it, but just was a yard behind the speed of the ball. But you just feel that Rangers really, they've lost that confidence and they just know the game's gone from them. I think Arsenal have taken their foot off the pedal, and I think both teams are looking forward to the final whistle. Arsenal will be delighted with their performance, delighted with the result, and delighted with the work commitment, but Rangers will be very aware they've got to improve.
Knowles is waiting. He'll have to wait a bit longer. Well, you'll have seen then England's number 2 team on this day, and if you stay tuned on Tuesday night, then you will get a chance to see England's number 1, Manchester United, in action. It's a live match on British Eurosport as they go to Portugal. Klopp's almost embarrassed there. Manchester United match incidentally against Sporting Lisbon. And not the only football on Tuesday night, because there is also the final of the Intertoto Cup between Schalke and Slovan Liberec, and that really is finally poised. And 2-1. Of course, if I said Tuesday, what I meant was Wednesday.
Well, he's very frustrated. You can tell it's written all over his face. But he's clever enough to acknowledge the fact that his team have been playing against some of the better quality players in the world. There's one that just whizzed past, and they're really running at them at will now. And we say you don't lose spirit. When you're 3-0 down and you're getting tormented, as Rangers players have been tormented, certainly in the second half, you do lose that little bit of an appetite. And I do think that Rangers, they will be pleased to hear the final whistle. They know they've been beaten by a better side, and they will regroup and they get ready for the season, and I'm sure they will have a very successful season, because Rangers have to for Scottish football. Rangers and Celtic must perform, and they know if they're going to compete in Europe and play against some of the better players in the world, then they've got to do better than they've done today.
That was Touré's shot a moment ago for Arsenal. Little hopeful, or might fall for Burt. Cole gets it out. Touré's last goal, incidentally, was an own goal in the 1-1 draw with Leeds United.
I think the big centre back should be called Biff, shouldn't he? We've seen him on 2 or 3 occasions go and whack, and of course he was responsible for the penalty kick, which I know the Rangers supporters weren't very happy about, but I just don't think the referee could have done anything different. And I think although they give Vieira a bit of a bad time because they felt he fell over, I think they'll admire the quality of the player and how big of an influence he's had in this game. I think for Arsene Wenger, that's his big plus today, really, that Vieira's played another game. He's played a lot longer than he did against Celtic, and the influence he gives to the team is enormous. And just remember that other little bit of a player, that young centre forward who scores 1 or 2 goals, Thierry Henry, has got to come into this side, which makes it quite frightening.
And Pires and Viltor, well, I mean, the list goes on and on. And for, of course, all the money that Chelsea have spent, they'll take some time to actually produce what Arsenal have got, and that is a team.
Well, it's taken years to get there, and Arsene Wenger deserves huge credit. Here we see the Kanu incident. I don't think it was so much, it was, I think, of Michael Ball coming in showing the side of his. I always worry when players show their side like that. They're coming in, and he just clipped Kanu a little bit. But I think the important thing for both clubs now to come out of this game is with no injuries. You know, they've had a test, they've had a decent game, and they don't want any injuries.
And that is it. The final whistle has gone at Ibrox. It's greeted by applause. A handshake from Wenger for McLeish as he admits defeat here against a side that were patently better than they were. Adu, Lauren and Campbell with a missed penalty as well. Satisfactory for Arsenal, not quite so for Glasgow Rangers.
I think they'll look at the first 20 minutes and say we did okay. I think after the first goal, Arsenal dominated. We saw Arsenal at their best, the passing, the movement. We saw the first goal, which was a huge ricochet, as I say. That started it all. And then after that, it just went from bad to worse for Rangers. Arsenal grew in stature. They got the goals they wanted. Vieira finished the game, or certainly finished all that he wanted to play. Here we see the penalty kick. Absolutely no problem, penalty kick. And here we see him just sliding the ball in. As we said at the time, that can work out fantastic, or it can look really ugly. It did in the second half. There's a header, Campbell. Not great mark, and keeper nowhere. And big win for Arsenal.
David Seaman.